the violin and that whole aspect of who I am is what people are getting familiar with. People are really just now catching up to the manifestation of a dream I've once had. And so now I'm living it, people are seeing it, but my mind is somewhere else. I just want to see the world and, take my music with me. My name is Lee England Jr., violinist, producer, singer, whatever you need at this point. So I started playing violin when I was 6 years old. Some teachers came in and they demonstrated the instruments, and I was pretty much like, hey, that's what I want to do. So my parents brought me a violin, and no later than an hour after I had picked it up, I was ready to quit because I sucked. You pick up a violin, it's not like walking up to a piano. Everybody sounds good on a piano, but violin is kind of scratchy and you know what it sounds like. I go to my father and say, Pops, man, I want to quit, I don't want to do this. He says, you can quit, but you have to practice for 15 minutes a day. And so I'm like, cool. So I'm going into the room practicing to quit. I'm like, I did my 15 a day. I was kind of, trying to be rebellious, not knowing all the while that those 15 minutes would turn into 30, which would turn into hours and days. And so my desire to quit turned into a love and a desire to never quit. The first artist that I played with that kind of paved the way for everything else was Stevie Wonder. Once I finished college, I was like, well, what now? So I kind of hit the ground running, and I was playing for Jesse Jackson and Operation Push on Saturday mornings, during the international broadcast. And me and Jesse had kind of developed this rapport so that when he would see me, he'd point to me and say, come here. And so I would go to the main podium. That's before I had an electric violin. And they jack up the mic, and I played, during whatever it was going on. And Stevie Wonder was just happened to be in town because they were going to be honoring him with some award. He comes up on stage, and he starts singing a song called Fall in Love with Jesus. And, that's one of my favorite gospel songs, so I knew it already. And so Jesse looked over and saw me. He pointed, told me to come out there. And, man, I just, I went out and I did my thing. I rocked it, and I used that. kind of like smoke and mirrors, for a little while, until it got to the point where, I was on the stage at the House of Blues opening up for Life Jennings and Chrisette Michele and Dwelle. And so I moved from that to getting an audition for making his band. The making the band story, everybody wants to know, like, how did I end up with an audition when they weren't even looking for a violinist, period. So I figured I was gonna do like some hook or crook type of stuff, go in there and be like, so I'm gonna sing this, and then I was gonna pull out the violin like, you gotta hear this too. And I really didn't know any other songs. It was cold out, so I couldn't like pull out my violin and learn them. I had my iPod, and so when they brought me in VIP, I just sat down like, man, what am I gonna do? And I went in the bathroom, and I practiced one of the songs, and I'm like, all right, well, here goes nothing. Finally get to the door, and still even to the door, they're like, we're not taking violinists. I'm like, ask your boss. So they bring me in, and that's what ensued. You see the rest on the show. The judges were like, oh, this guy's got a violin, and that's kind of where it went. They accepted me. It was crazy, a lot of fun. Went out to California, to LA, to find that we was gonna have microphones on 24/7, except when we was in the showers, and the cameras were gonna be on us. And after a while, you kind of get used to it. And so you kind of loosen up, but I was there for a purpose. I knew what I was there for. To me, I got the exposure that I needed, and I've been touring now. People are starting to really understand and see what I already knew was coming. When it's all said and done, as far as where do I see my legacy being, I really take that like very seriously. And the reason why is because my father passed before I had an opportunity to really ask him like man questions, like the questions that I really only wanted to ask him. And so he passed, and I had actually written him a letter, to send to him because I was away in school. I wanted to send it to him, get him to send it back, and we just started to correspond like that. He was who I wanted to open up to. And so when he passed before I got a chance to do that, but I started to write. Right now, I pretty much write every day, or I write, when big things happen in my life, as a way to leave the people that are going to come behind me, leave them a record of things that I went through so that they know and understand who I was. I mean, to the core, it's going to be gritty. You know what I mean? It's going to be stuff that I wouldn't even want to tell people right now. I mean, it's just the truth of who I am. I also want to be, a good teacher. I want to leave good music. I want to be remembered. I mean, who doesn't?
Are y'all finished? You got love?